One who hears and chants about Krishna's Rasa Lila, this is Vishwanath on verse 39, which is the crest jewel, it's like a shiromani of all Krishna's pastimes, gets the crest jewel of all results. Because it's the topmost pastime, so you get the most result. If you go to the richest person in the world, then you get the most money from him. If you go to rickshaw while they say, "Oh, can I have a crore rupees?" I say, "You're crazy." If you go to a poor person, you don't get much donation. So if you're discussing or hearing about the topmost pastimes, you get the topmost result. Krishna Prem, Bhaktim Param. One who continuously hears, Anushrinuyat, glorifies or writes poetry, Varnayat, about this autumnal Rasa Lila and similar pastimes. First of all, even if he has a heart disease of material lust, he becomes surcharged with prem. Then, by its effect, the disease of the heart is destroyed. What Shukadeva Goswami is saying here is that prema is independent. Prema is independent of gyan and karma. Because we're going to discuss a verse from Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, Nasochati Nakankshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Lavate Pram. So there, Krishna is discussing Gyan in chapter 18, right? Sankhya and Gyan. He's saying, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, Mad Bhaktim Lavate Pram. First you have to come to the Brahma Bhuta platform. Brahma Bhuta Pras, then you become Atma Prasant. Your Atma will become happy. Then Mad Bhaktim Lavate, Mad Bhaktim Lavate, then you can attain devotion to me. So people often cite this verse. Krishna says in Gita, you have to become Brahma Bhuta. Then you can attain Mad Bhaktim Lavate Param, right? He's saying Mad, you know this verse, 18th chapter, verse 54. But, so Krishna's telling that in Gita, you have to, first you come to the Brahma Bhuta platform. What's the symptom you're on the Brahma Bhuta platform? Nasochati, Nakankshati. You don't hanker, you don't lament. You don't hanker because you don't have material desires. So there's no hankering, and you don't lament because there's no attachments. So people cite this verse and say, yes, when you come to this platform, then you can read Rasa Lila. But Shukadeva Goswami, who's saying, Radharani's own parrot, he's saying, what here he's saying in verse 39, Bhaktim Param, Para Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhya. He's saying that first, Pratilabhya, you attain bhakti. First you become Krishna, by hearing Rasa Lila, first you become Krishna's devotee, then all the lust goes out. But then but it happens almost simultaneously. So it's different than Bhagavad Gita. It's very interesting. This effect is understood. So therefore, because Bhagavad Gita is discussing about Gyan, if you're on Gyan Marg, then you have to do so much meditation, meditate on Vedanta Sutras, do so much austerity and tapasya, because it's nothing but you and your effort. Your accumulation of Gyan, your self-control, your sense control, you can rise that Brahma Bhuta platform, Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. And then, now you're on that platform, now you can qualify, that's like coming from Gyan Marg, trying to approach Bhakti Marg. But Bhakti itself, Prem, is totally independent. Bhakti is Radharani. Radharani's Amsha is Bhakti Devi. Expansion of Radharani is Bhakti Devi. Radharani's totally independent. So Prem is totally independent, unlimitedly powerful. It's not weak or dependent like Gyan Yoga. Here, Kamam Ridrogam refers to the heart disease of material lust. But this is interesting when he says, but here the word is used in relation to Krishna, because we're describing Krishna's Rasa Lila. So the word Kamam doesn't mean lust, but it means Prem, pure love. In relation to Krishna, Kamam means Prem, and it has the opposite effect of material lust. One who faithfully hears and glorifies Krishna's rasa dance is described as learned, Dhira Pandit. Because that word is there. It says, Achirena Dhira. One who's Shraddha and Dhira. Shraddha means he has faith. It's page 377. He said, he's a Dhira Pandit, for he does not foolishly doubt. Hey, come on. Shukadeva Goswami is saying that if you read this Rasa Lila or Krishna's intimate pastimes with the gopis, that first bhakti comes in prem and then you get free from lust, anger, greed, envy. Hey, come on! I didn't hear that from my GVC, my XYZ. That they didn't tell me that. I don't. It says, how can Krishna prem appear if material lust is present? Because Krishna says in Gita, 1854, first you have to become Brahma Bhuta, then you become Mad Bhaktim Labhate, then you can have Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param, means you can become my devotee. You can begin to, it doesn't even talk about Prem. Here it's saying Prem, Param Bhakti means Braja Prem, the topmost Bhakti is Param Bhakti. It doesn't just say Mad Bhaktim, labate pram, that you can become my devotee. He says you can get the parabhakti. That comes first. But if someone doubts it, the Krishna prema will definitely appear in that person. If he doubts it, then, that means that Krishna prema, Vishnu is saying, Krishna prema will definitely appear in a person who is free from such foolishness. That's why the word in the verse is dira, achirena dira. If a fool, a pagal, he'll think, it's not possible. How is it possible? It's so easily just hear Hari Katha from advanced devotees, hear Krishna's Rasa Lila and Rasa Katha, just sit there and listen respectfully and faithfully, and you believe it, that this fall, this benediction, or this will happen. I can't believe it. So then you're doubting Thomas. He who casts words of doubt does put the light of knowledge out. Bhaktivinoda says in the Sharanagati, he who casts words of doubt puts the light of knowledge out. So, however, Krishna prema will not appear within those who have no faith in Krishna, or those who offend Krishna's holy name. The divine Rasa Lila is like the loving smile of the intimate devotee of Krishna, who is victorious and glorified for his ability to conquer Krishna by his pure love. That's Vishnu's commentary. So so that's the problem with Shraddha. So many people are faithless. So then, see how you get so entangled. If you hear this verse, and then you say, how is that possible? Then you make namaparad, to blaspheme the Vedic literatures, or literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version. It's the fourth offense. And then you blaspheme the sadhus, sadhu ninda. Sukadeva Goswami is saying it. How can Sukadeva Goswami says that? It's not possible. So that's why he's saying you're a namaparadi. So this prema will never appear in those who have no faith or those who offend Krishna's holy name. There's an interesting... Now we want to hear some quotations in the next 15 minutes or 10 minutes we should finish. How our Srila Prabhupada, what he says in relation to this. In his book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 32, conclusion, Prabhupada writes, actually, when the pastimes of Radha and Krishna are heard from the right source, one at once attains liberation. What does liberation mean? Liberation means anartha nivriti. Unfortunately, it sometimes happens that people do not hear these pastimes from a person who is realized. Thus, people sometimes are misguided. It is stated in the verse in Bhagavatam, which we quoted, chapter 33, verse 39, that one who hears the pastimes of Krishna with the gopis will attain the highest platform of devotional service, and he will be freed from the material lust which overwhelms everyone's heart in the material world. In other words, this is Srila Prabhupada, by hearing the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, one can get rid of all material lust. Do you believe that or not? Prabhupada is lying? Shukadeva Goswami is lying? So lust means anartha nivriti. It's not that, first you have to get free from all your anarthas, then you can read about Radha and Krishna's pastimes. People preach like this. This is not what Prabhupada is preaching. It's not what Shukadeva Goswami is preaching. It's not what Jiva Goswami is preaching. Then there's some commentary. Yes, the conditioned soul should not, quote, try to hear Rasa Lila Katha without proper guidance. This Katha descends mercifully from the spiritual world through the medium of the Vaishnava. If the liberated soul, or guru or advanced devotee, is internally inspired by the Kripa Shakti of Krishna to speak about Rasa Lila Katha, then that is the highest benefit to all the conditioned souls who happen to be present as a result of their past sukriti. In other words, if you've done many good deeds in your last life, you'll be in Hardwar in May, and you'll hear Radha Govinda Swami speak Rasa Lila, or Gopi Geet, or Venu Geet. Who's there? 500 people in a mango grove, 1,000 people. There's 1 billion people in India. They don't have the purchasing power. They don't have the sukriti. So if you have the sukriti, then you happen to sit at the feet of a devotee who describes the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna. But those that don't have the sukriti, then you go and you meet them and say, I was with so-and-so so-and-so Maharaj, he was explaining, oh, that's bogus, you shouldn't... Because he has no Sukriti, he's not there. And then because you expose yourself to aparad, then your Sukriti goes down and you never hear again. You don't get the opportunity again. So, I just in this... in other words, all cautionary or prohibitory statements given by our acharyas in regard to hearing Harikatha are only to prevent independent attempts to enter Raskatha. As always, anugatya, it's called Guru Anugatya, it means the principle of being in line. Anugatya means following in line, or following the chain. The principle of being under the constant guidance of liberated Vaishnavas is the essential factor to be understood from Prabhupada's quote. So hear these things, but in association with devotees and with the proper qualifications of faith and belief